Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. I know you have a lot of options and a lot of choices out there, and it brings me great pleasure and joy to bring this information to you with healthy habits. That's exactly what we're looking at, healthy team habits and success in 2019. We'll be giving you some tools, some suggestions, resources to help you bring that to fruition. I'm Rebecca Rose. I'm a credentialed veterinary technician in Colorado, plus the founder and president of Catalyst Veterinary Practice Consultants. I've been a veterinary technician for over 30 years. That's a long time for a veterinary technician. In that time, I've worked in veterinary hospitals, I've managed, I present, but most importantly, we focus now on veterinary team well-being, team utilization, and simply bringing these tools to you in whatever way is possible so that you too can have a fulfilled career and a fulfilled opportunity within veterinary medicine. Today's topics will be identifying healthy habits. What are they? And how can we support each other from the team point of view throughout the upcoming year? Being primed for the day. The 4 tips for professionals. There are resources and looking ahead into 2019. You will be receiving, as a follow-up to this recording, the handouts that coincide with the conversation to include all of these awesome resources. Just one simple question for you and your team to answer. What do you think of as healthy? What conjures up in your mind as being healthy? What do you do? How do you act? How do you support yourself in this? When you see somebody else who's healthy and you think, wow, what's that person doing that I'm not doing? Ask them. Dive into it. Don't be afraid. They'd probably be honored that you are interested and that you even think that they're living a healthy lifestyle. Seriously, with your team during an upcoming team meeting, write it out. I am very much into the flip chart. I encourage all veterinary hospitals during team meetings to use that old-fashioned flip chart. Ask a question and then write it out, because now you have a visual of it. You're looking at this team meeting from an adult learning point of view, which includes the audio piece, the visual piece, the interactive engagement. That's when they're going to learn. That's when there's going to be that buy-in. So run out to that Office Depot or wherever you need to go to and grab that flip chart. And I challenge you at an upcoming meeting at the beginning of 2019 to create this list of what does healthy look like for you and your team for 2019. Some of the things that they might consider is simply taking a needed break. A needed break vacation-wise, or a needed break from their 8-hour day or 10-hour day or 12-hour day, as we know works into it. Healthy is being mindful. Healthy can be mindful in being in the moment, being present. Eating healthy food. Taking a stroll. This is actually a picture up here in the upper right of my daughter and my father taking a stroll. Participate in that. Drinking adequate water. I think we underestimate the value of water and the value of sleeping. And one thing I hope that everybody puts on their list as a team is leaving on time, right? So that is an entire sequences of events and policies and procedures and support that has to occur for there to be this conscious effort of leaving on time. I sense eyes are already rolling. Well, leaving on time can happen. Now, I know that there are emergency veterinary technicians and team members out there, and that there are hospitals that do urgent care, and there's hospitals that take in that admit that was not planned for, and maybe it's a blocked cat. And we know those things happen, yes, but it doesn't have to set in this sequence of chain reactions in a well-managed practice that is still disallows, which is a word, for us leaving on time. So keeping that as a focus and bringing it apart, a successful thing in our practice, is healthy. Wouldn't it be great, instead of having team members that, through this idea of being a martyr, stays so late and they're oh so needed and oh so overwhelmed and oh so overworked, and that's where they exactly want to be. That's where they thrive. They want to be there. Well, wouldn't it be fantastic if we celebrated getting out on time? We'll talk more about this as we go through our program. So for you, how do you set yourself up for success? Does that alarm go off and you hit it 3 times and then you get up? Well, that might not be setting yourself up for success. Simply consider, do you eat a nourishing breakfast? This might be a question to ask even of your teammates, because if they're not setting themselves up for success, it's just a snowball from there. So here are some tips in preparing for the day. And you might think this is strange. You might be thinking, Rebecca, why are we talking about what we do for breakfast? Well, because think of this. If we're not rising early and giving ourselves this peaceful time, then the rest of the day is just shot. If we're getting up late, we're not eating food, we're going to work on fumes because we haven't planned ahead to put gas in our car, then that's the day we've created. That's the mood we've set. We're already anxious. We are already in this fight or flight position. So it might behoove us to get up earlier. Even set that alarm 20 minutes earlier. Ugh, maybe go to sleep 20 minutes earlier. But give yourself this positive moment, this quiet, this opportunity to think about what are you grateful for, and start your day in gratitude. Plus, eating some kind of breakfast that is fueling your body, that is rich in protein, low in fat, maybe a high fiber cereal, fruits and vegetables, even for breakfast. It doesn't have to be an elaborate eggs, bacon, and hash browns, crispy. No, it can be as simple as this picture I'm going to show you in a moment. And visualize your day. Envision that surgical suite and how well it's going to run. Envision your exam rooms and how you're going to be set up for success with educational materials, and how you're going to be keeping people on track. And if it's not going the way you want it to, then how can you reframe that? Imagine the schedule. Imagine that tough client. Imagine that puppy that you're going to be seeing, or that first time kitten. Oh my gosh, that's what we thrive or can certainly heighten our day. But mentally prepare for the day. So here's that picture of a relatively easy dinner, or breakfast rather. As simple as Island vanilla wheat-filled cereal with fruit. That doesn't take much. And low-fat milk. That doesn't take much. And this is actually a picture of my sweetheart and Tilly envisioning their day. This is how we start off in the summer. Not so much right now because it's still dark. But visualize the day. Plan for it. There's this awesomeness that goes on in your head when you visualize. So now you're primed for the day. You've set yourself up for success. And hopefully everybody on your team is setting themselves up for success. Because when you arrive at work, you're ready to go. So this is the handout that will be accompanying this recording. Living a healthy life, 4 tips for veterinary professionals. And lo and behold, the first tip we're going to talk about is lunch breaks, and even breaks just in general. I attended a class by a colleague of mine at the Western Veterinary Conference this past spring, and her topic was on decision fatigue. Yes, yet another fatigue we can be exposed to. But it was interesting to find out that research shows judges that were looking at people that were up for trial gave different outcomes as they were nearing that time when they needed some food, some kind of snack. So isn't that interesting? It seems apparent that individuals make decisions dependent upon their intake of food throughout the day. So if you're not eating breakfast, or you're grabbing that small little breakfast bar, which probably isn't all that truly healthy for you, and that's the only thing you have to keep you going through noon, and then you say, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed, I can't even take time to eat. Now you're setting yourself up for even mistakes, more fatigue in this decision making. Your body simply does not have the juice to succeed. So then my suggestion as a team for a healthy habit is that you actually get your lunch breaks. When I was managing a clinic in Parker, Colorado some years ago, I considered myself the lunch Nazi. I would actually make sure that that first team that was on lunch hours at 12 was actually getting out. And then the second team that was on and their departments were getting out for their lunch. And then I led through example, and I left for my lunch. Even if I went into my car and sat in my car and ate my lunch, listening to the radio, or maybe even reading a leisure book, that was me as a practice manager leading through example. And take advantage of this time. As some of these pictures show, eat a healthy meal, take a walk if you can. Maybe if you have your bike or some other ways of exercising. In the winter, when I was at Parker, there was a mall nearby and I would walk around there. But please take a lunch, because it is simply good for your body. It's good for your soul. Nourish your body with appropriate food choices. Even if you run errands over your lunch, don't skip on eating. And nourish your mind. Simply stepping away and disconnecting for 15 to 20 minutes improves concentration and energy levels. So now you're ready for the second half of your day. Bringing this full circle as a healthy habit, making this a priority in 2019. And you may say, Rebecca, we do this pretty well. Well, consciously pay attention for the next couple of weeks or into the 2019 and see how many people are truly eating a healthy meal and taking this seriously. Because there are healthy and affordable choices. My favorite, to be honest, are leftovers. As an example, we just cooked Thanksgiving meal, and I so much enjoy the leftovers. We froze the turkey, made turkey sandwiches later. I still have the potatoes. So thinking ahead in that planning, pack yourself a lunch in the morning. Anticipate possibly going to a healthy restaurant over lunch, although that's not very affordable. But make this an affordable and healthy choice. And you're the only one that can do this. This is on you. Stepping into the second tip for veterinary professionals in creating this healthy life. And we've touched upon this a little bit, but time management and prioritizing. Earlier in this free series, we gave a program on this exact topic. So in our email that we send out to you, we will be sure to link to that webinar so that you can have all of that information at your fingertips as well. So this is a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. It says, "Don't waste life in doubts and fears. Spend yourself on the work before you, well assured that the right performance of this hour's duties will be the best preparation for the hours and ages that will follow." Isn't that powerful? It's talking about focus in the moment, focus in this hour. If during that hour you are seeing exams and consultations and wellness appointments, make that the best it could be. Really focus on that time with that client and that pet and engage in that relationship and those conversations. Be in the moment. And when you find yourself daydreaming or worrying about what's happened in the past or anxious about what's happening in the future, catch yourself in that moment. That's a great place to be and say, wow, is this what I'm doing right now in the best interest? Is this setting me up for success? And if you say no, well, then redirect it. If you say yes, well, keep on keeping on. Prioritizing as a team can happen in a plethora of ways. I really suggest and encourage team huddles. I was helping a team in the Loveland area, and I knew that they were all showing up about 7:15. The doors opened at 7:30. I got there a little after 7. And I watched them walk in, grab their coffee, set things up, push the buttons, get all the machines going, and then they had this awesome, incredible team huddle. They all gathered around one monitor, and they talked about who was coming in as surgeries, who was there already as a patient, what difficult clients were coming in. Because we all have those. And so how can we prepare for that? How can we prepare to help them be on time? How can we prepare for having educational pieces available to them? Team huddles are great. Team huddles in the morning. This only takes 7 minutes. And also doing this pulse. You know, how is everyone on the team doing? Checking a pulse. And it might feel strange and odd at first, but pretty soon you're going to get really comfortable with saying, you know what? I am so charged today, I'm ready. Or on the flip side, I had a stressful evening, maybe I had a fight with my teenage child, and I'm still hanging on to that. That's a pulse. That can help us know and understand who we are and what we're doing. This is a healthy habit. Well, another way that we can help to prioritize and do the time management is looking at our outpatient appointments. These are those appointments that are in the exam room, the consultation rooms. How can we best utilize that time? Who's best suited to be in there? Do you have a team member that enjoys engaging and building relationships in a timely fashion? Well, that's the person you would put in that room. And then even in the outpatient services, how can we make that more efficient? How can we be admitting patients for surgery? How can we be releasing them and letting them go in an efficient manner? So these are all healthy habits. Making sure that we have those educational materials for the outpatient and inpatient services, and that they're branded for our team members and branded for the person that even or trained in how to give that information. Consistent messaging is a time management piece. Now, oftentimes we get into this autopilot mode. I challenge you as a healthy habit for the next upcoming weeks is think about what you're doing. Be in that present moment and ask yourself, is this the most efficient use of my time? Can I streamline this duty in some fashion? Am I the best person to be doing it? Do I have enough training to be doing this? Really mechanically, objectively look at what you're doing and how you can streamline it. As an example, how can I streamline after a surgical day, getting those packs together in the most productive processed way? I'm envisioning, like a car assembly line. How can we make that happen? And there's so many ways that we can become more efficient. And leaving on time, that's the focus here through this time management, support, team huddles, who's doing good, feeling that pulse. How are we making the day go as efficiently and as seamlessly and as effortlessly and as calmly as possible? Moving into number 3 of 4 tips for veterinary professionals: physical exercise. Now, I know a number of you are probably already rolling your eyes saying, oh my gosh, Rebecca, when am I ever going to have the time for physical exercise? Well, you will see in your handout, I love this idea, and I can really embrace this. It says this woman, Michelle Seeger, she's made a study of the science of motivation with exercise. Her simple advice makes sense. Simple. Are you ready for this? Take any and every opportunity to move. Now you might be saying, Rebecca, I'm on the floor all day. I'm moving, I'm moving, I'm moving. Good, recognize it. But I want you to take it a step further anyway. Just this opportunity to move in any way possible, at whatever speed you like in this idea of exercise, for any amount of time in physical exercise. Do what makes you feel good, and simply stop what makes you feel bad. So if you don't have the energy to get changed and get out the door and go to the gym and you dread it, Michelle's advice is that might not be the best thing for you. So I can really embrace this idea of simply moving. Here's another opportunity to ask your team about what can we do in this idea of doing exercise for any speed you like, any amount of time, and things that feel good. So in the handouts, you see that could be dancing in the kitchen. Yeah, we could do that more often. Gardening, swimming. This is Stu and I in New York cruising around on this walkway, miles and miles of walkway in the middle of New York City. We had a ball. Up here in the left corner, swimming, being at a resort. Now, you don't have to be at a resort. Just even going to the park over your lunch hour and walking around. Taking the dog for a walk. Here's a picture of my daughter building a snowman. That makes me hugely happy. And I'm moving, and it's considered exercise. What a combination. And gardening. These are actually tomatoes from my garden. So let's rethink and let's reframe this idea of physical exercise. I know in the surveys that you completed that the large majority of you do exercise even though it's inconsistently. And when you think about it, all of these ways that you're moving, you're doing better than you think you are. So here's a picture of Tilly. And this is reminding us, this isn't who you want to be. You don't want to be this couch potato. Now, granted, when Tilly's going, she's typically going 110 miles an hour. And when she's stopped, this is what she looks like. Simply keep in mind, move more often as a healthy habit. And how can you support each other as a team in moving more often and healthy walks? Maybe you could have a contest that says, anybody that wants to participate in this contest, maybe you're going to be using that thing that goes on your wrist and counts your steps, and you can use that as a motivator. Who knows? I know for you that are viewing this today, you probably have a lot of ideas already with your team in creating a culture that embraces healthy exercise and moving. So elaborate on it. Make it a focus in 2019. Our fourth tip, healthy personal and professional boundaries. Now, I took this picture. It's of David. He's standing over here, and he's got his arms folded, and he's training these people, but he's letting them do what they need to do. He's going to step in when they need assistance, but that's a healthy boundary. Training and setting people up for success. Let them do what they need to do. Now, this is a quote from Sherry Busen. She's a veterinarian, and she simply writes, typically, what I teach is that the biggest factor is what you're looking at in the mirror. It's all about how you react to the stress or creating these healthy habits. Certainly, clients can be stressful, coworkers can be stressful, pets can be stressful, but it's all in how you handle it. And that's the perspective piece of this, which can be related to boundaries and taking a look internally of how are you coping with all of this. Because we know within veterinary medicine, we have a lot of stressors, as this suggests. And to come together and identify these healthy habits, which we're doing, is such a wonderful thing for our culture, a wonderful thing for the individuals and the team members to identify, embrace, and move forward with it. Now, oftentimes, we, and pretty much everybody you know, is continually asked and to be on more committees, to participate in more events, to be a part of a community thing. And I have to tell you that we have to go back to those ideas of personal values and vision and mission, and be able to say, yes, I can do that. I can continue to take on another project. Or in this idea of professional and personal boundaries, I can't. I'm unavailable to do that right now. I'm honored you asked. Thank you so much. But at this time and my personal goals and vision, this doesn't align for me. And people would be so respectful of that. I experience that all the time. There is an article that we will be accompanying your email. And it's 7 tips for setting boundaries at work. Because I know most of you are saying, yeah, but I'm in a work environment. I have to work myself to the bone. That's just the expectation. Well, that's not a healthy expectation. And maybe you've placed that on yourself. Yes, it could be because within that work environment, that's what the culture is. But there are ways for you to set healthy expectations and boundaries and be clear in that. So here is another reference to that first webinar series we provided, which helps you identify what your values are and your vision, because that is what you're working within. That's the model that you're working within. Now, this could apply when you are being hired for a new position. Know precisely your values. Know what is your breaking point. What would you accept? What will you not accept? How many hours will you be working? 4 10s. Yes, that's great. The training piece. And you can also create these new boundaries now. And that's what we're precisely doing. Now is a great time within your current workplace to further define your values and reach that vision. And I statements will help you clearly communicate your expectations. I need this. I feel this. I experienced this. I statements are strong and powerful versus the you statements. You made me late. Your tardiness has set up a chain of events that's making me upset and frustrated versus I'm frustrated and we need to move forward in this manner. I statements are really powerful. Now, when you have clearly established these boundaries and there has been a violation to it, be clear in that and don't put it off for a long time. The example here is that maybe you've identified as your new value, as who you want to become and shaped in, that you are no longer going to participate in gossip at your place of employment or within your sphere of influence and friends. That's a great goal. Now, what happens if during this example, you see yourself caught up in this gossip? Well, at that point in time, you just have to say that I don't want to be here right now. This isn't the conversation I would like to be having right now. And be really clear in it, in the moment, or as soon as you can in that time frame, instead of waiting and brewing over whatever violation has occurred and bringing it to fruition or to light 3 weeks later, when the person that stepped over those boundaries has no clue what you're talking about. So be vigilant in declaring your values, setting up those boundaries, communicating the expectations of it, and when you feel that there's been a violation, take care of it. And prepare for those violations. Now, I'm not saying that you live your whole life, because that's not living in the moment, about what if, but when you have declared that you are not going to be gossiping, when it does occur, how are you going to handle it? That's a healthy thing. This is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which is one of my all-time favorite books. I encourage everybody to read it on the veterinary team. Regardless of your age, regardless of your position, the role that you play, this is a fantastic book. And it also has chapters that will help you in this paradigm shift. So the chapter 1 is be proactive. You are the only one that can make these changes, as an example, in healthy habits. Now, when you're looking at this as a team effort, then yes, declare it, define it, write that flip chart out, chart it, measure it, make it happen. Beginning with the end in mind is the second chapter, and it's saying, for 2019, we as a team will celebrate us leaving on time. Great. That's beginning with the end in mind. Put first things first, this whole idea of what you value. I'd like to use this as an example. During our survey, someone wrote that there is a struggle between taking care of your patients and taking care of your employees and taking care of yourself and the pets and the family, and the list just goes on and on and on. And so taking care of yourself personally can take a back seat. Well, this is not helping anyone. If you are so tapped out and your cup is not full, you really have a difficult time being that caregiver to all of these other people. So my suggestion is, if you are valuing that self-care, if you're valuing these habits that you want to establish as a team, you have to give it the time. Now, in a personal way, if you want to value that self-care, you simply block it out. You put it on your calendar that says, Tuesday evenings are my time. I have 1 hour to do whatever I want. I can sit on the couch and drink a cocoa. I can have a manicure. But put it on your calendar. Self-care. Put it on your calendar to take a nap. I have a coworker that just did that the other day. She said it was in the middle of the weekend. She has 3 children. She made it a point to take a nap. I was so proud of her practicing what she preaches. Now back to the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Number 4 here is think win-win. 5, seek first to understand, then be understood. Chapter 6 is about synergy. And chapter 7 is sharpening the saw. These are the 7 habits. They're great chapters. You can even create up and define 7 Habits of Highly Effective People as being a goal where you could, as a team, read a chapter a month and then have a conversation around it. Lots of ideas. Lots of ideas. That was a pretty rapid fire process and information to digest. Hopefully there were some gems that you will be taking away from all of that. Now, keep in mind that gratitude does change everything, and starting your day with gratitude, bringing gratitude in that team huddle, having an evening journaling with gratitude, these are all very healthy habits. So you've got this. Again, I'm challenging you to identify healthy habits as a team. Write it down, get that flip chart. Create a goal. Look at 2019 and say, these are our top priorities. Leave on time. Support each other in exercise. Healthy foods and snacks on site at your veterinary hospital. Create the list and take action to it. Stay on task. Know your personal values and vision, and know your team's values and vision. Bring these into the conversation. Bring these into the goals. And be patient. Be patient with yourself. When you fall off the wagon on these setting healthy habits, be patient with yourself as a team. This is not a decision to do something. It's a habit. It takes time and energy. Give yourself the full year for it to be a habit. There will be resources in your email to help you with this, your notes, the link to 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, this article on 7 tips for setting boundaries at work, and others as well. Utilize them. Make it a team effort. I'm excited to announce that in 2019, we are creating another series. We'll be rolling these out every other month. In February, the topic will be team building, useful or useless. In April, addressing the insanity, veterinary team underutilization. And then in June, you gotta love them, embracing the nuances of each generation. And I did see in an article just today that yes, there can be upwards of 5 generations working together. I've said that before, and there was naysayers and like, no, that can't happen. Well, yes, it can. There's challenges and there's wonderful, wonderful opportunities in that as well. I tend to focus on the opportunities, but I'm a glass half full kind of gal myself. Keep in mind that Catalyst Vet PC has a number of services to offer. We can do these workshops with your team in-house. We can create workshops virtually using this platform. We also have a Vision to Action program, which can be considered AKA, also known as a strategic planning. We offer coaching of managers. I had mentioned this idea of team efficiency and efficacy in the prioritizing and time management. Well, we can help you with that. We offer on-site observations with complete consultations and many boutique projects. If it's time for your employee handbook to be updated, we can do that. If it's time for an audit of your hiring process, we can do that. If you just need some support in projects, give us a call. Chances are we can help you with it. We'd like to wish you a wonderful 2019. So from our team, Catalyst Vet PC, to your team, cheers. Cheers to a great 2019.